Tennessee quarterback, this is kind of interesting. Nico Iamaleava did not attend spring practice today. Okay, so why is that a big deal? Well, he signed an NIL deal worth around $8 million. Yes, that is $8 million right out of high school back in 2023. And our partners at 24/7 Sports say him skipping practice actually has to do with the quarterback now wanting a new NIL deal. Let's welcome in Brandon Marcello to straighten this whole thing out for us, because a lot of people are kind of looking at this and be like, okay, so Tennessee quarterback, so-so, you know, pretty good player. He's not there at practice. I mean, this feels like an NFL situation now.
Yeah, and we're in that day and age where players have the power and they feel like that if I want to negotiate everything, I'll just sit out and put the pressure on them. Remember, the transfer portal opens up next week. So not only is he threatening to want to sit out practice and the spring game on Saturday, but he's putting the pressure on them to put a deal together quickly. Now, why is this happening? Well, he's been asking for more money since at least January, per my sourcing from talking to people there close to Tennessee. The question is Tennessee going to meet the figure that he wants? He was set to be paid about $2.5 million this season by Tennessee's NIL situation there. And what really amped things up here is what's happening with Carson Beck at Miami and some other big-time players. Carson Beck entered the portal after declaring for the NFL draft, got Miami on board. Miami is set to pay him more than $4 million in NIL, in addition to some other marketing deals. So Carson Beck could be making upwards to $10 million just for 1 year of college football for playing quarterback. Nico's camp there at Tennessee saw an opportunity. Once that happened in December and January, we deserve more money. So they're asking for something in the neighborhood of what Carson Beck is getting at Miami, which is $4 million, maybe more.
So this is exactly like what happens in the National Football League. I mean, this is the first time, though, like Carson Beck, we're not seeing him sitting out. He's not playing right now because he's nursing a shoulder injury, or I think it's a shoulder injury, yes. Does he, I mean, is the school just going to have to fold on this? I mean, what do you think happens here? Or are they like, all right, you know what, we like you, but we're not paying you that much money? At
some point, you do have to just cut bait. And the one way to look at this, potentially, if you're Tennessee, is do we want to spend the $4 million? Do we want to give him the big bump? Or could we use that money to go get some better players in the portal? For example, Tennessee is going to struggle at receiver potentially this year. They need some big-time guys. Maybe you can go get the top 2 guys in the portal when it opens up next week. There's questions there about Nico Iamaleava as a quarterback. Is he an elite quarterback? Listen, he tied for 7th in the SEC last year in passer rating. He had 4 games where he didn't throw a single touchdown pass. He was mid-tier by definition in the SEC. He did not win them a championship. And with less talent around him potentially this year, what makes you think that Nico is going to deliver Tennessee to the playoff and potentially win a game or 2? Why can't you just cut bait, save the money, go get you another quarterback in the portal potentially, and then upgrade your talent elsewhere, especially at receiver where they need a lot of help?
Let me ask you this, beyond his talent and everything like that, how many schools and players out there are looking at so closely at what happens here that this could potentially set the stage for what we see in the upcoming years, potentially a watershed moment here?
Well, listen, coaches are following this very closely. I was sitting down with one today, and we were talking
about this. It's like following a court case.
Yeah, exactly right. Everybody's wondering who's going to do first. I mean, I had someone in the NIL space earlier today tell me if Tennessee doesn't pay that $4 million or so, someone probably will.
Okay.
And that's just the stage we're in. It just seems like the players obviously dominate the market, and they're able to just call for whatever they want. If they ask for an asking price and they're already at a school and they leave, someone is probably out there going to be willing to pay it. Why is that? Because some schools are desperate. Some don't have quarterbacks really that they believe in, and if they believe enough that Nico's the guy, they'll be able to convince a booster or 2 to put up that money and to pay it out. So if Tennessee doesn't bump up and say, hey, we'll give you this, someone out there is going to be willing to do so. And so Nico, if he were to leave Tennessee, look for him to maybe head out west potentially and get closer to home.
And maybe this is just a little bit more in the woods, but we have the House versus the NCAA settlement looming right now. Is this going to have any impact on that, do you think?
No, but I do wonder this, because if the House settlement does come through, which it'll be approved, is what we're understanding here. The big thing here for me is that we're looking at NIL changing in the future, because The power conferences are going to police NIL. They're creating a new organization to handle enforcement. They're going to be reviewing all NIL deals worth $600 or more. And guess what? Every NIL deal is worth $600 or more. So these schools are going to have to prove that this is legitimate NIL. Are they getting a return on their investment? That's the question. The days of potentially just paying a player to play are over with NIL. But are they really going to throw the hammer down on people when this new organization comes along? Because, frankly, everybody's doing it. So are you going to hammer everybody, or is everybody going to rein things in? The whole saying of you can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle, I think it's potentially standing here because everybody is doing this. It's very hard to prove that everything is a legitimate marketing or NIL deal.
Look, and it's not just college football, it's all over the place. I mean, and we've talked about potentially NIL, the NCAA tournament, how it affected that. I mean, this is just all over the map. Brandon Marcello, thank you for being here in studio. It is very nice to see your face. You can hear more from him and everybody over at 24/7 Sports. Read everything about this because there's so much to dig into. Those are our partners there. Make sure to head over there and check it out.